Yeah, we should be close. Are you ready, Brett?
Let's do it. It's the 9U PG Invitational National Championship from Stone Grove Park in Southaven, Mississippi. We've got MVP, we've got TBT, we've got California against Florida. Brett Dolan with Chris Allard. And Chris, these young men, they've had a busy couple of days, but excited now for the championship game or game.
Well, there's no question about it. It's a double elimination format here, which is unique. And again, a lot of these kids coming through the consolation bracket, I'll tell you, it's a tough road to follow. But we're seeing the best in the business here today. Should be a good matchup between both clubs.
So TBT is the undefeated team. They would have to win just once. MVP, the visitors, would need to win this game and another to be the champion.
Absolutely. And we've seen it done before. Anything can happen. These kids are so talented. And I'm sure we're going to see a great show here this morning.
We'll do our best to introduce you to these young men as they get a chance to bat. Both teams are hitting 10 players, and pitching is always kind of a question once you get this deep into an event. These guys have pitched for a handful of games, so we may see 2 or 3 different hurlers for the two teams.
Well, no question about it. And again, pitch smart being in place with perfect game, I mean, really it's essential as far as the progression of these young players. And pitching is the key. The further you can go in with pitchers, the better off you are when you get to this point in the tournament.
So again, TBT, they are the home team. They have taken the field. Excited to see their performance here today. Armani Figueroa will be the first man on the hill. Right now he is scheduled to work the first 3 innings, but we'll see how he does. And Armando Maciel Jr. is going to lead things off for MVP.
Well, again, today behind the plate as well for us, our umpires. The home plate umpire, Randy Stockton. Down on the first base side, Steve Knott. On the third base side, Billy Bernard. And we'll get the name of the other umpire. We don't have that yet here, Brett, but off to an early start this morning. We'll get that going.
It's like the big leagues. We get a 4-man umpiring crew. Great weather as well. Always the concern. It's humid. You might have some rain, some issues. We've got a lovely day for some baseball.
Absolutely. It's been gorgeous the entire time. The weather's been exceptional. We've had some high clouds. It'll definitely heat up throughout the course of the day. And, again, I think hydration and preparation really is the key. We'll see how things play out for all of these individual players.
I know we're in Mississippi, just outside of Memphis. This is a beautiful facility for this event.
Well, it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, Snowden Grove Park, second to none. It's a national destination now for perfect game. And the PGI Invitational, which this event really is the culmination of the best in the country. It takes... You have to win an event. You've got to go into a super regional NIT to qualify. If you win one of those, you get an invite here or the top 15 seeds in the nation. So it takes some talent to get here.
There's no doubt. I mean, that's the exciting part. Got a number of talented young men and teams. Again, Florida and California. MVP. And Armando Maciel Jr. ready to step in, a young man from Corona, California. And the fun thing about this age group, you ask these kids their position, they'll say infielder, outfielder, catcher, pitcher. There's not many things they don't do.
Absolutely. I think these kids are so versatile, and we're going to see some great stuff here this morning.
So Figueroa's on the mound. We're ready to get this one underway. We have a batter step out before the first pitch. Maciel Jr., though, a big Dodgers fan, as you can imagine, for these California kids, and L.A. De La Cruz fan as well.
And let's not forget about the Angels down the freeway.
And we're underway with strike 1.
Good command again, just getting warmed up. Pitcher just loose. Got to settle in and get his pitches dialed in here early on.
Turf infield, grass outfield, 250 to the outfield fence. We could have some inside the park home runs based on the length of these fences.
Absolutely, and I'm sure we will. Some of the bigger sluggers will be in here to show us what they can do. We've seen some long balls hit throughout the course of the tournament, both in the younger age divisions as well as some of the older kids going deep into 300 feet at the center field mark for the older kids.
Excited to watch our 12U gamer games a little bit later on. Next pitch on the way is on the corner again to Maciel Jr. for strike 2.
Well, the key here, working ahead in the count. Opportunity early here, just running the outer half of the plate. Looks like he's got good control of the ball so far.
Works from the stretch with nobody on base and a 2-strike pitch. A little bit outside. Raciel Jr., the player that inspires him. Max Clark, a PG favorite, recently drafted high in that first round. These young men with aspirations to kind of bolster their baseball career going forward, playing in tournaments and events such as this. And there's a comebacker handled by Figueroa, and that is the game's first out. And Chris, these are 6-inning games, so I kind of adjust the urgency of maybe getting a lead early or getting some runs on the board.
Well, absolutely. I think that's the key to it. You called it. You want to get on board early, get the momentum, get things started, get your bats hot, and you know how that goes. When somebody starts getting hot at the plate, it seems like the rest of the players start to follow. So a good first out, though. Comebacker, simple play, routine play there, but well executed.
This is Adam Baca. He is a Simpson Elementary School, 5th grader out of Rialto, California.
Up in the northern part of the state.
Big, vicious swing and a miss. Marco Casillas, the coach for this MVP team.
He worked with his assistant, Tommy. Actually, Tommy Baca is the assistant coach out of Norwalk, California, is where the club plays out of.
So his son, Adam, batting here with one out in the top of the first, and we're just underway from Southaven, Mississippi. That left leg kind of hovers in the air just a bit from Figueroa before he delivers to the plate, and he gets the strike.
Interesting backstory with the Casillas family. Rudy Casillas is the founder of the MVP Hustle organization, and his 12U team, they've got a great program out of Southern California. Marcos, the son of the founder of MVP.
Oh, it's fantastic. Baca really has his toes on that inside chalk of the batter's box. Maybe trying to take away that inside corner from Armani Figueroa. Set up against his neck, and the pitch is elevated and high and missing.
Again, command and control early on. A little bit of adrenaline running these youngsters. These kids probably were up with so early this morning,
right.
Excited to play, and you know how these youngsters are. They can get right after it, so I'm sure he'll settle in here.
It's that early morning championship game when it's been a long week, the adrenaline, the excitement, maybe a little bit of fatigue, if there is such a thing at 9U, and there's a tap for foul.
Probably more energy and more enthusiasm than most of us have, most definitely there.
Tell you what, moms and dads, they have a little bit of energy down in the crowd as well, trying to get this first game underway on a positive note for MVP Hustle. TBT again, our home team.
Yeah, I think we see a lot of the parents. I mean, you get so connected to it, and emotions run high at times, but enthusiasm is truly second to none.
Big breaking ball rolls in there. Nice pitch. And a quick timeout for a conversation with the pitcher Armani Figueroa.
Yeah, Coach Gary Rodriguez of the club. These guys play out of Orlando, Florida. And Coach Rodriguez is a former baseball player, played at Lake Howell High School, now to college at Dundalk College. And very dedicated to the game and been around these kids. He told me, I talked to him earlier, he said he's been around these kids since T-ball.
Is that right?
So he's seen the evolution of these young
Sure.
players and really speaking volumes to what they've been able to accomplish here, coming in as a 2 seed and, again, not losing yet in the tournament. A lot of success there.
It'd be fun to see if this group or a bulk of them can stay together for a number of years. And that is strike 3 to Baca from Figueroa. So a comebacker and a strikeout here in the top of the first inning.
Good-looking pitch, located well. And getting himself in a position now here where it seems as though he's settling in comfortably here on the hill.
This is Kendrick Crispy K. Torres out of Whittier, California. MVP trying to get a runner on base, trying to get something going here in the top of the first inning.
Torres looks pretty determined in the box there. He's locked in.
for a big, healthy wave of a miss. Kendrick, son of Christian and Lizette. Dad played high school basketball and baseball, then Cypress College baseball team in Cypress, California. A couple of years professionally in the Mexican League, and Mom was a basketball player, a volleyball player. Fouled right over by the third base dugout.
A lot of energy out there on the field, certainly from the crowd.
That pitch grazed him? I think it did. It got Torres, not by much. It doesn't have to hurt to count. But it came in and grazed that jersey. And that's the first base runner of our game.
Well, I know certainly the humidity out here has been something that's been a factor for some of the pitchers. You see them sometimes with the rosin bag on the hill. They'll be able to dry things out, and might have just lost a little bit of the grip there, but as you said, MVP gets a man on 70 feet up to first base.
And it brings up Jaden Castillo, the catcher.
Lefty hitter, righty-lefty matchup.
Fontana, California native, Canyon Crest Elementary, 5th grade. It gives you an idea of what age group we're dealing with these young men.
Here in the 9U Majors division, really the best 9U players in the country being represented, as we know, qualifying to get in here, and both clubs having good success thus far to get to this point in the show.
Jaden, the son of Claudia and Pedro. Strokes one down the line and left. That's in there for a base hit. Played back in nicely, but a hit by pitch with 2 outs, and the sharp single by Castillo has MVP in business, albeit with 2 gone.
He had a good swing there, a good stroke going opposite down the third base side. That's a well-hit ball. And MVP now looking like they've got opportunities here with men at first and second in scoring position.
Played back in by Brantley, so it brings up Blaine Watson, the center fielder.
They're going to run for the catcher. They bring in Casillas. Casillas will run.
And Blaine Watson from Carson, California. Takes a big wave at a miss. A little bit of deception on some of those pitches from Figueroa, able to get that big bend, that big break. Blaine Watson known as B-Dub with a couple of teammates on base.
Well, an opportunity here on the offensive side for MVP.
Another big swing and a miss by Blaine Watson, a young man who had a game-tying 2-run homer in the 2023 PG 9U Super Regional in Houston. He'd love to provide the game's first run or runs. The big swing here, Figueroa trying to end this inning. Catcher Luke Floyd sets up way off that outside corner. Lead runner goes, and that's going to be a swing and a miss. That is a strikeout. And a couple of base runners for MVP, but Figueroa escapes any further damage, and TBT coming into bat in the bottom of the first inning.
Well, a good first half. We're ready to get through the bottom half of this one. Some good pitching, settling in nicely, as TBT able to pull that one off.
TBT batting here in the bottom of the first inning. They're going to face Brandon Garcia on the mound. And Abriel Santos, the shortstop, is going to lead off.
Well, MVP had an opportunity there with 2 men on. They stranded 2 there, and now with TBT, we'll see what they can do on the offensive side.
Well, Santos out of Lakeland, Florida. Dr. N.E. Roberts, 5th grade. He would love to go to LSU if an opportunity exists, and I would imagine he's not alone.
I'm sure there's many of these young players that love to head into that division.
The fun part is, though, again, we're talking about California against Florida. It shows you the national reach of some of these schools. That's a pretty good pitch on the outside corner for a called strike.
Absolutely. And, again, these young kids aspire at an early age, and we will find out as the path continues in the journey for these young players. It's just exceptional to see the level of talent here today.
Right on that outside corner again for a called strike.
Maybe some of these kids got their eyes on LSU now after the national title.
I think you're right. More than a few. Santos, the shortstop. Big Francisco Lindor fans. Going to pop one up back and out of play to the right. Some of the dew burning off the outfield grass as we get into the morning hours for our 9U championship game. MVP trying to win to force an if game. That ball poked to right, starting to travel, but the catch is going to be made by Hashizuma for the first out.
Yeah, Hashizuma backed up on that one. A good route, just routine grab there for him. Good to see that they're able to convert that quickly.
This is Figueroa, the pitcher, who's going to bat second.
Righty-lefty matchup.
That one carries off the outside corner and just misses. We saw Figueroa on the mound, able to navigate a little bit of trouble in that first with a 2-out hit batter and a single, but then calmly get the final out, 2-ended. Facing his counterpart here, and the one thing that strikes me about Garcia on the mound, he kind of hides that baseball just a bit, almost brings that front foot up a little bit towards the third base dugout once he comes set. Makes it hard to pick that ball coming out of that glove for the hitter.
Yeah, he isolates that well, and again, that's certainly a benefit for him and a little more challenging for the hitters, no question about it.
Garcia really digging in for that baseball. His next pitch is on the corner for strike 3 to Figueroa.
A good pitch, good location, runs the outer half of the plate. And again, it's hard to pick that ball up. He kind of goes off angle, as you talked about, before he delivers. In his arm slot, it's hard to follow the ball right away. And again, but he runs the outer half and gets the K.
This is DeMarcus Jordan, DJ Miesis, out of Sanford, Florida. He wants to go to the U. Big, powerful right-handed hitter. Son of Victor and Tasha. He was the 9U World Series MVP in Georgia. All-State Games Home Run Derby champion.
Now, this kid can swing it, definitely. If he gets a piece of something here, we may see one clear the yard.
Big Padre fan, Fernando Tatis, Machado, Soto. He enjoys all of those San Diego Padres. Facing Garcia with the bases empty and 2 outs. Socked down the left field line, but foul by 7 or 8 feet. We'll talk a lot about pitching velocities when we get to 12U because we're going to have some eye-popping numbers for 12Us. With the 9U, it's about command, it's about control, getting a little bit of drop to that pitch.
Well, absolutely.
That's a big bouncer on the carpet to second base. Handled by Thornton. How about a perfect inning?
Yeah, a good barrel on it. Just a routine shot there. But, yeah, you talk about, really at this age group, it's really about identifying pitches, pitch command, and control of the plate. You see some of these kids that might throw hard at the younger age, but they don't quite have the command yet, where you'll see better pitchers. And, of course, as you progress along, pitchers are going to expand the numbers. So,
one scoreless inning in the books. We'll be right back. We go to the second inning for the 9U PG Invitational National Championship. MVP and TBT, a 6-inning game, a scoreless inning in the books. Thornton Garcia and Hashizuma on to face Armani Figueroa.
And a couple of good knocks. Some of the batters starting to get a piece of it, and just getting through, that's going to be the key there. We're seeing some good defensive plays. Guys are able to convert, get what they need done, and we'll see what happens, who's going to strike first.
Always feels like sometimes in these championship games, the early morning games, there's a little feeling out process for a couple of innings, especially when both teams are at max strength, where one team isn't limited by maybe having thrown a lot of innings, whatever the case may be. It feels like a couple of heavyweights here ready to go head-to-head.
Yeah, I think something will open up. Typically, as you know, it's a settling moment, really, and that's really the key to it, as you said, feeling things out, and coaching as well, strategic coaching. It's situational baseball, so we'll see as things start to progress forward here.
Blake Thornton ready to lead off. Figueroa back to the mound. Thornton goes by the nickname, and I love it. He's got a good one. Rakin' Blake for Blake out of Tustin, California.
We'll see what he can do here. If Rakin' Blake is on this morning, he might be raking early.
PGI Houston 8U MVP, part of a 9U National All-State Select Championship finalist for Team California. Figueroa would not last well in the major leagues with the new pitch timers. They would be beeping and buzzing. And
well, I'll tell you what, you bring that up, it's an interesting point, because is that the next phase? As we know, in collegiate level it's there, but, high school perhaps next.
There's a ground ball to third, handled easily, and the throw across the diamond easily in time to retire Thornton. So Figueroa able to get that first out.
Well, you talk about the pitch clock, and you mentioned, does it get to this point where you push it down to the youth level? Yeah, possibly. I mean, I think it's good training, but
right?
Some of these games, though, can be excessively long. Obviously, there's a clock on most of them, hour 45, no new after, etc. But that's the salvage there. But gives these kids an opportunity to play.
Brentley Pippin made that play at third base. This is Garcia, the pitcher. And remember, Figueroa struck out against Garcia, so now Garcia facing Figueroa. Pitch skips around home plate. Garcia from Pittsburgh. He'd love to play maybe at Ole Miss, Texas, Cal State, Fullerton, son of PJ and Jan.
Looking around the country for an opportunity.
Hey, dream big. At this age, the world is your oyster, right? There's just nothing but opportunity out in front of these young men.
Absolutely.
Showing bunt again, but pulling the bat back and taking a strike. Garcia wasn't happy. Just came from the Perfect Game National Showcase with the top 20 24s in the land. It's just amazing arm strength and power and whatnot. And it seems like that's a long time in the future for these young men, but it'll go by in a blink of an eye. We could be seeing some of these young men at an event such as that down the road.
Well, absolutely, and that's really the next step in the journey for these youngsters, and you'll continue to see the development. The pitching velo, hitting, exit velo, infield throwing. It really becomes dynamic, and we'll see that in the 12U.
How much do tournaments like this, in your mind, really help just kind of continue to take these kids to the next level, playing against not just the best competition in their state or their region, but across the country?
Well, I think what it does, it provides you the highest level of competition. Number one, that's the first aspect of it, but the coaching is exceptional as well, and these kids work hard. They're out there 5 days, 6 days, 7 days a week. You go to school, you get out on the field. And I think that really these kids that are committed, and what Perfect Game does, providing that platform, truly second to none, to give them that pathway to get there.
Especially big-time tournaments when every single team that you're playing is of quality. It's a case where you're going to be facing good pitching the entire week, good hitters if you're out there defensively.
Well, and I think that's the variety. That's the key. You've got to travel. You play the best teams in the country, and you can play in your backyard week in and week out and find yourself playing the same guys.
That's right.
And, I think that gets sort of mundane and, relative to traveling around and having an opportunity to see players from across the country.
2 balls, 2 strikes, the count to Garcia. Looking for the first run of our game. And he's going to take the free base. So Garcia is going to walk, providing a base runner for MVP.
Yeah, just a subtle adjustment there. A fastball was on the inner half, just missing there low in the zone. But a good idea, just moving the ball around the plate. But just a subtle adjustment there would have got the strike called.
Dylan Hashizuma. And I appreciate Dylan phonetically spelling out his name for us because it is one that we might have gone looking for had he not helped us out. A young man from Santa Fe Springs, California.
Absolutely. That's one of those names that would be easily pronunciated incorrectly, for sure.
He was part of the PG Super NIT Houston Champs in 2022. Son of Brian and Angela. He was the MVP pitcher for that Houston NIT champion. He's got a big brother, Caden, who's a sophomore at St. John Bosco High School.
Excellent high school in Southern California, part of the Trinity League with Jay Serra. Big high
no
school.
shortage of talent in that league.
Well, there's no question about it. Jay Serra this year taking the title, going back-to-back. And Coach Brett Kay and the Jay Serra Lions, pretty exceptional season they had. They had some great players.
Hashizuma with a runner at first. That's Garcia. Waiting on a pitch from Figueroa. There's the check of the runner. Very short lead, and the pitch is fouled back and out of play. I give Dylan credit. He says he's a big Dodger fan. I think there were like 8 exclamation marks, and Mookie Betts is his guy, but he says Shohei Ohtani when he becomes a Dodger. So he's already dreaming about when Shohei can move up the freeway, so to speak.
Well, I'll tell you, it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. Most definitely one of the best players in the game that we've seen in years, and again, you wish them the best. He's done a lot for the Angels organization, and we'll see where he ends up. He could end up with pinstripes as well.
No shortage of suitors if they could afford the price tag, whatever that is, and prospects or eventual dollars.
Absolutely. Well, we know the Yankees have a couple of dollars in their bank account.
One on, one out. Off and rolling is Garcia. The throw down is not in time. Pitch was a strike, but a stolen base and a man in scoring position for Dylan.
Garcia with a good jump there. He had a couple of extras on the lead and took off, was able to get down there quickly.
Asked these kids about their biggest challenge, and Dylan said, just having a fight with my team in this invitational tournament during bracket play, fighting to win all 3 games to make it to championship day. And there's the break, Chris.
Yeah, looked good there. Just got a good jump and down, slides in under the tag, plenty of time there.
Down the line in right, and this ball is going to be caught. Nice play in right field and played back in. That's Grady. I thought maybe that might have a chance to sneak down the line and roll for a long time. Grady got there to cut that one off quickly.
Yeah, good route on the right fielder side. Garcia had to come back. He looked like he was on the move, thinking perhaps it was going to drop down on the line, but a good defensive grab.
So a runner in scoring position, but now with 2 outs, and that is Garcia. Alejandro Arcos is the batter from Hacienda Heights.
Yeah, Arco hitting here in the 9 spot today. Arco can get a piece of it. They've got an opportunity to bring a man over.
This dream school is Vanderbilt, a pitcher, an outfielder, a first baseman, and a catcher. Strike 1.
The SEC is getting a lot of attention with these youngsters.
Yes. I must say I'm a bit of an SEC homer myself, so I understand the lure and the attention that league gets from all their time on television and all their success in Omaha.
And success nonetheless. The first 2 guys picked in the draft, of course, buddies from the same school in the SEC.
Maybe generational players. Off and rolling again is Garcia. The throw to third. Now he's hung up. Can they execute the rundown? I don't think so. And he's able to get back is Garcia. It was a foot race, to say the least. Well, Pippen was trying to get him.
Yeah, it seemed like the third baseman was going to throw across, as you can see here, but he hesitated a little bit, and Garcia dove in, got in early as they tie him up here on the third base side.
And you try and minimize the throws, Chris, but he probably needed to throw earlier rather than the pump fake.
Yeah, and by then Garcia was way ahead, so he was able to dive in and get to the bag.
Figueroa can make that somewhat irrelevant if he can retire Arcos. And Figueroa is ahead in the count. Catcher Floyd setting up way outside to try and get a chase swing, but he does not.
They'll try to run the outer half of the plate, get a guy reaching or chasing for it in that case, but nothing doing there.
Garcia swiped one base, almost got another. Represents the go-ahead run. First pitch here is poked out into center. It's going to drop. Garcia around third. The throw home is on line, and we are going to have an out. How about the effort in center field from Rodriguez on the throw to Floyd to get the final out of the inning at the plate?
Well, what a great play and a great throw. I'll tell you, 2-0. They tied him up. The tag was on.
What a great effort. Inning ends. We're still scoreless as we go to the bottom of the second inning. Let's watch this again.
Well, you can see a good throw, good move on the throw.
You're in no man's land right there.
Yeah, and he tried to do everything he could, including going way outside of the base running area.
We'll be right back in the bottom of the second. MVP Hustle Casillas, TBT National White, California, Florida for this Invitational 9U National Championship from Southaven, Mississippi. Scoreless inning and a half. Just about saw MVP get a run, but now TBT will try and get on the board with Brantley Pippen leading off against Brandon Garcia.
Yeah, Pippen playing out of the Spanish Fort area.
And this is my favorite part about this age group. Again, we ask them their positions. He says third base catcher, pitcher, outfield, first and second. He just should have said anything but shortstop, I think.
Most definitely. And I'll tell you, the two-way guy seems pretty common now, but we're looking at, a myriad of positions, every position on the field. Utility man at best.
Wave and miss. He had a 3-home run tournament as a 7-year-old. Hit a 3-homer tournament in June of 2023 at the PG Major World Series in Atlanta. All 3 home runs at East Cobb. So there is power in this bat.
This youngster can swing it if he finds his pitch. He's kind of chasing on the outer half there.
Well, Garcia doing a pretty good job as far as maybe pushing those pitches a little bit off the outside corner to see if he might get a chase or a swing and a miss.
Yeah, absolutely. And so far, that's what he's seen out of him. He might want to come inside here and run the inner half, perhaps with a fastball. He goes outside there.
His father, dad played baseball at East Mississippi Community College.
He's a strong young man. I'll tell you, if he gets a piece of something, you don't want to hang anything in the middle. This kid can pull it.
You want to know how strong he is? Let me fill you in. He got hit in the face while pitching by a line drive, ended up going straight to the hospital for a CAT scan. He played the next day and won the championship with his team.
Unbelievable. These kids are amazing.
Barreled up and drilled into center for a base hit. Played nicely by Watson to cut that ball off of the backhand, but Brantley Pippen, even after he got down 0-2 and had a couple of takes, was able to get barreled a baseball.
Yeah, and I think it's just discipline at the plate. You get that level of experience, level of confidence. You can see a good swing here, gets through the ball and just finds the gap, and that's just consistent hitting.
First time we've had a leadoff runner on in this game.
We'll see what he can do on the bags here. Modest lead over on the first base side.
Elijah Morales is the batter from Winter Springs, Florida. Eli wants to be a Florida Gator some point. Son of Matthew and Andrea. Father Matthew played college baseball for Grambling State University. Off and rolling is Pippen. He's going to get the base.
Yeah, he had a good jump. You could see him go early. Garcia was just getting set in, going into the stride. He was already on the move. He had beat that out by a couple of feet.
What could be the potential for a lower scoring game, maybe stealing bases, taking the extra base, could be a big factor. That breaking ball came over the front door for a strike to Morales.
Yeah, running the inner half, that's a good pitch choice there. You're right. I mean, again, it's going to be about what happens on the bags probably with not a lot of hits coming forth. It's going to be stealing bags and creating opportunities. You got to manufacture runs some way.
Inside move back to second. Pippen in scoring position, no one out for Elijah Morales.
Yeah, definitely scoring opportunity here. Shortstop in the back pocket there. He'll roll off.
Strikeout, but it's going to have to be completed at first, so Pippen's going to take off to third base. The throw bounces, close but safe. Had Baca put that throw on the money, it was going to be a really close play with Pippen trying to advance on the strikeout.
Yeah, absolutely. And the drop three strike there, so you've got to clear the lane and throw it down. But again, from second base, the runner was early. He got the jump and got in on plenty of time there.
Sawyer Hicks will be the batter. There is Pippen at third base, one out, trying to score the first run in this 9U championship game.
Well, an opportunity here, no question. A knock anywhere is going to bring him over.
Worth repeating, these are 6-inning games. So while you feel like you have a little bit of time, you never truly know just what an early lead might mean.
Well, momentum too. I mean, that's a factor, right? The first team that scores usually kind of picks up that energy, and the players through the lineup are going to start getting knocks. And once you get that train rolling, you're sometimes hard to stop it on the defensive side.
Tell you what, that's the pitch though from Garcia to me that's been impressive. That front door breaking ball has those feet moving just a little bit. You're thinking that ball's coming at your ribs before it rolls in there for a strike.
Yeah, and it moves off the plate well, and he's getting in the zone, which again, it's just demonstrating great command control of the pitch. And we talk about that early on, about command control, being able to have a couple of pitches that you can throw, and when you're able to work around the plate and locate, that really speaks volumes. Came upstairs there.
Wave it a miss by Sawyer Hicks. Garcia gave up the single, the stolen base. He got the strikeout, but it did allow Pippen to advance. And now trying to cut down Hicks. He'd love a strikeout if he could get it. Wave and a miss. He did indeed get the huge K with a runner at third, and there's 2 gone in the inning.
Well, again, good pitch sequence there. He ran the lower part of the plate. He went outside, and then he came upstairs back-to-back to get the strikeout. You can see him upstairs there with a fastball. Good-looking pitch.
That'll be even bigger if he can retire Levi Rodriguez. But, of course, we saw Rodriguez make the throw from center field to cut down what would have been a run in the top of this inning.
Well, definitely, that was an outstanding defensive play, and it just shows you the athleticism of these young players. I mean, really second to none, and that's a long throw in, and it was just spot on the money. The tag was easily put on. So Casillas makes a quick visit out to the mound there, just wants to talk to his guys to get it right here, still with an opportunity for TBT.
I think they're going to go ahead and put Rodriguez on, so they'll go ahead and walk the Castleberry, Florida native. And bring up Kingston Campbell. So the second baseman Campbell in there from the left side, squared just a bit before pulling the bat back. So some strategy right now to go ahead and put Levi Rodriguez on and give Campbell a chance to see what he might be able to do.
Kind of a spin move, look at third, and spun over back to the first base side.
You have to wonder if Rodriguez might be running at some point with runners on the corners. That's a good pitch right on that outside corner for a called strike.
Yeah, again, he's got good pitch location right now. I think he's got command of the ball well, and this is a big opportunity for MVP on the defensive side. TBT definitely looking for a knock.
Ball lands on the field from the adjoining field. A lot of baseball here today in Southaven.
Yeah, multiple divisions getting after it here. We're fortunate to be able to get the 9U and the 12U here on PGTV if you're joining us.
Pitch a little bit outside, and there is that base. I was wondering when Rodriguez might run just to take away that force, just to put a couple of guys in scoring position. Really dangerous to make a throw down with a runner at third base in a 0-0 game.
Yeah, we've seen that in some cases, and also there's some defensive plays where they'll cut it, and if the guy from third maybe is on the move, they can get a shorter throw, but that wasn't the case there.
I believe it's now 3-1 to Campbell. And that pitch is on the corner, so now the count has gone full.
Yeah, this is a key pitch. We'll see where he goes.
Big pitch. Outside, ball 4. So we had the free pace to put Rodriguez on. The stole a base, then the walk to Campbell. And it's going to bring up A.J. Grady, batting 9th.
Yeah, this is a big opportunity for TBT right here. To get the bases juiced. You've got 2 outs.
Adrian A.J. Grady from Panama City, Florida. Been talking about 2024s all week. Of course, this age group will be 2032s. We're going to flip another number over on that graduating year by the time these guys get to their senior year. But Grady, a big chance that he takes a strike.
Yeah, Garcia, he's locked in here. This is key for them, absolutely, on both sides. This could certainly open things up for TBT.
1-1 pitch on the corner and a big one to jip ahead in the count, 1-2 from Brandon Garcia.
Yeah, I really like the way Garcia, as you mentioned earlier, the way he sets up, he hides the ball. It's hard to see it coming out. And again, just great location there on the outer half.
He tucks that glove behind that shoulder. High chopper off the carpet. Is he going to take the play at the plate? He got it just in time. A daring decision, but it works out.
Yeah, absolutely. That was second to none. Again, I thought he was going to underhand toss just to get that force there at home and decide to take it himself. It's risky. The athleticism resonates here. You can see it, a chopper.
Look at this foot race. Oh, my goodness, he got there in time.
Maybe by a stride. That's about it.
What a way to end an inning. Bases stay loaded, no score. Some dramatics to end the second. Still no score. We're going to the third inning in a 6th-inning championship game, the 9U PG Invitational National Championship. MVP Hustle has to win this game to force a second contest. And Andrew Magallanes is going to lead off.
Yeah, Magianis comes in as the 10 hitter here. Like to try to get started for the hustle and an opportunity, as you mentioned, a must-win situation to force the double final.
Magianis from Whittier, California. Father Paul, Mom Tiffany. Father played baseball at Whittier College. And Andrew, a big Mike Trout fan. Quick conversation before this inning begins.
They just want to get it right here and see what the options are. Perhaps even lay down a bunt. You never know. Whatever it takes to get on.
I think the deeper you get into a scoreless game, the more creative you get to trying to find ways just to get base runners aboard.
Yeah, absolutely. I think strategy comes into play. Truly second to none. And again, a 10 hitter. Let's see what he can do.
Magianis stands right on top of that white line with his white shoes, facing Figueroa. And the first pitch on the inside corner for a called strike. He was trying to take away that inside corner, but a good job by Figueroa to go right at it to get the called strike.
Yeah, he located that pitch. That was a perfect pitch on the inner half.
Not a lot of testing plays yet in the field. You got to believe that will come, although we had that play at the plate with the pitcher to end last inning, the comebacker and the foot race.
Good defensive play, TBT from the throw early on to home plate.
That's right.
from center field. That was an outstanding play.
And both of those two plays saved potential runs from scoring.
Exactly. So that's the differential right there. But the defense resonating here this morning, shining through.
Probably no surprise when teams get to this level, the caliber of players that you will have pitching and defense. We know all these kids can hit. There's a ground ball to short. On the carpet, you're going to get that true bounce. And how about the throw across the diamond by Santos to retire Magianis to begin the third inning?
Yeah, Santos, good defensive play there. He was down low, glove out. He was in perfect position, good footwork across the deck, and they get the first out.
Going to turn this lineup over now for the first time. Armando Maciel Jr. Just a perfect throw.
Yeah, that was on the money. Again, I think that's, you're seeing that now. It just becomes automatic for these kids today. It just seems like the level of skill set is really evolved. It's truly second to none and very impressive to see.
Armando hit a comebacker to begin this game. Corona, California native. Son of Armando and Sonia. Strike call.
Yeah, he gets the outer half there. It looked like a changeup.
Third inning of work for Figueroa. He's given up just two singles. That's it. He gave up a single with 2 outs in the first, a single with 2 outs in the second, but that was also the play at the plate. On the ground to third. Easily flipped across the diamond. A couple of harmless ground ball outs.
Yeah, I mean, really, this seems to be more of a defensive game than anything on the offensive side thus far. I mean, a couple of good hits, but the defense are able to convert and execute the plays.
That's Elijah Morales with the play. So Figueroa getting some soft contact. And this is Adam Baku, struck out looking his only time in. 2-hole hitter.
2 outs, TBT trying to get back on the offensive side.
Baca from Rialto, California. First baseman, pitcher, outfielder, jack of all trades. He's also standing right up on that inside chalk of the box. And the slow breaking ball carries outside.
Son of Tommy Baca, the assistant coach for the MVP Hustle Club. Working alongside of Marcos Casillas, as I mentioned earlier, Rudy Casillas' son. Family tradition keeping baseball moving forward.
You'd expect nothing less, really. A little bit of a pause with that leg lift from Figueroa. I'm wondering if that does something to timing, too. He kind of hovers that leg in the air just a little bit. It might not be intentional. It might just be simple mechanics. See Baca with that C flap in front of his face. But if you're a hitter going up against Figueroa, he's very deliberate. He also does kind of raise that leg and hangs it there when you're expecting to be coming downhill. There's just that little hover.
Yeah, he holds it just for a second before he strides out, right?
I think that's effective.
Yeah, thus far it has. I mean, as you said, timing with the hitter, you're thinking, okay, the little pause might cause you to move a little sooner than you really need to.
I mean, you're ready to begin that motion forward, stop and swing.
And you kind of got to check your rhythm.
That's right.
Your rhythm's off.
And Baca does take the walk, so that is a 2-out base runner here in the third inning. Now getting to the heart of the lineup second time through with Kendrick Torres. Should he get on, Shaden Castillo, the cleanup hitter, to follow.
And these are the guys that can swing it. I mean, you've got the right people in the right place now with a runner in scoring position. As a little visit to the mound and a quick conversation from Coach Rodriguez.
There's some encouragement going on here. It might be just kind of challenging him to get through this third inning. I think Figueroa was a little bit frustrated with that last sequence, wanted to cruise through the frame, but for the most part, he's been very effective.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I think, again, we're seeing good pitching from both sides, and, it just takes a little bit of that. It's the mind game a little bit. At this age, you start to keep yourself locked in. You want to stay consistent with where you're locating and pitching, and a little bit of calming perhaps from the head coach here, Rodriguez from TBT. Lots of energy in the crowd, though. You can certainly hear it.
Yes, you can. All right, here's Kendrick Torres. He was hit by a pitch, just grazed by an inside pitch back in the first.
We'll see what Baca's going to do over on the first base side. He's got a decent lead, and this kid's got good speed.
Crispy K, Kendrick Torres. Flip to first, and Baca able to dive back in.
I like the nicknames. These kids come up with some good ones. Crispy K. Sounds like a cereal.
You're onto something.
Maybe that's his future, on the box of a new brand of cereal. Well, Baca just with a couple of feet off.
Last year, Torres was the PG Super NIT Houston, Texas MVP player. Also an MVP player in the USSSA Eastern World Series Classic.
Yeah, these kids move around and certainly gaining notoriety, and particularly at a young age. And it's pretty fascinating following the path, particularly through Perfect Game and the longevity you can have through the sport. And it's nice to see these kids moving through the system and establish themselves as great players.
Big Padre fan, big Manny Machado fan. That ball popped away, so Baca will be able to advance, which puts him in scoring position, albeit with 2 outs. But again, no score yet in this game in the third inning.
Well, this is interesting how it ends up. It looks like a pass ball here. Bounces off the inside part of the glove as Baca takes off. You can see him here. There's no throw down.
One thing Kendrick Torres told us is he doesn't panic in the count, whether it's 3-2, 2-2, whatever the case may be. Not a panic situation, but these middle of the lineup hitters would love to cash in an opportunity to put their team in front, especially for MVP. This is a must-win game for them. TBT has the advantage of being able to play a second game should they lose.
Well, I think, again, if you look at it, the pressure's certainly on more so MVP than TBT.
Kingston Campbell with the catch on that soft pop-up in the inning end, so another base runner. MVP does not score, so they've had a few opportunities, but it remains 0-0 as we go to the bottom of the third inning in Southaven. A pitcher's duel in Southaven from the Snowden Grove Park, part of our 9U PG Invitational National Championship. MVP, TBT batting in the bottom of the third. Chris, they had the bases loaded in the second, did not score. MVP has had an opportunity where they have left 4 runners through 3 innings, but give credit to the pitchers to this point.
Well, it's certainly a pitching duel, as you mentioned, but I think somebody's going to open it up here. I mean, it's a must-win situation for MVP. TBT, on the other hand, they've got the upper hand if they get guys on here and start bringing runs across. My feeling is I think once you start hitting, you got to get that rhythm, that tempo going. We just haven't seen it yet. We've seen great defense and great pitching.
Adriel Santos flew out to right to begin the bottom of the first, so batting for the second time. Back to the top of the lineup against Brandon Garcia. Chopper up the middle. That will find its way into center for the base hit, and a good beginning for Santos and TBT in the third inning.
Yeah, well hit ball, patient on the pitch, waited for it, good stroke, good swing through the zone, and finds himself on board with a single. So here we go. This could possibly be the inning.
Well, Figueroa's done a fine job through 3 innings on the mound. Now he bats. He struck out looking in the first.
Got a righty-lefty matchup there.
And at least on the defensive charts we were given, Figueroa was only scheduled to go 3 innings. So if he's done pitching, then he becomes now a hitter/position player.
And that could change the dynamics of the game. You don't know who's coming next. As we talked about early on, you've got to have quite a few arms to get you to this point. And we'll see what they have as far as reserves and what they've got left in the tank, if that indeed is the case.
Santos, the leadoff hitter, curious to see if he might be running at some point. TBT has stolen a couple of bases. Both of those came back in the second.
Yeah, Garcia definitely taking a look at one. They pitch out there.
Had a big lead, but he wasn't running. And I think MVP was curious to see if Santos might be off and running, trying to get into scoring position with nobody out, albeit now with the heart of the lineup. See him creeping out on that carpet.
Well, he's taking extras there. Santos has got good wheels here. We'll see what he does. He could be on the move. They tied him up.
Oh, did they get him? Indeed. A pickoff at first base. Santos started to lean. Garcia flipped to first and got him.
Well, just as we were talking about, right then and there it happened. And again, he was definitely leaning into the grass.
What a move.
A good move. Very good across the play. Off the mound, that was excellent. But you could see him lean, a little bit of a glitch there, and just got tied up trying to come back.
That's the art form, right? When you're a pitcher, you anticipate when you might get a little bit of bounce or a secondary lead. That's when you pick, and that was executed to perfection.
Absolutely. Garcia feeling good about that. You could see the emotion after that play.
Again, it's plays like that, whether it's a outfield assist at the plate, a pickoff at first, in a game where base runners have been so few and far between and scoring opportunities have been minimal, you never know what might tilt a contest in your favor.
Well, right when you think you've got control of the situation, you lose your runner. And I just think we're just seeing these little variables that are really going to be the difference here when we look to the outcome here.
And then that pickoff a little more costly now because of the eventual walk to Figueroa. So we have a runner at first again, but now with 1 out. This is the heart of the lineup. DJ Mieses bounced to second in his only at bat.
Yeah, Mieses hitting in the 3 spot here.
And again, there's power in this bat, and I'll tell you why after this pitcher. I'll tell you right now. At the World Series in Georgia, he hit 6 homers of his 17 hits.
Unbelievable.
Won the MVP, as no surprise.
No question about that with the power he has. So Garcia's got to be careful here. He's got to make sure he locates his pitch. And I think we've got the infield umpire here having a quick conversation with Coach Rodriguez. Not sure what that's about.
Not sure either.
Perhaps maybe something with Garcia.
He's pointing to that left knee, so I don't know if he thought maybe there was some type of incorrect movement, a balk of some sort.
Well, as you look how he sets up from the stretch.
Good pitch.
It's a little bit of a shuffle there.
It's quick.
It's very quick.
But you could see where if you're trying to steal a base, you would be locked into that.
Yeah, especially reading the pitch there, and then he steps off.
Ground ball to third. Going to second for the lead runner. Maybe a chance for two. How about the double play around the horn? 5-4-3 DP.
Yeah, that was well executed again. Good gatherer on the third base side. Took his time. Made a good transfer on the ball. Good throw. Again, that's just pure athleticism and well executed.
Your first two runners reach in an inning and only 3 bat. In the inning ends, 3 scoreless innings in the books from Mississippi.
Well, I'll tell you, this is an exciting one.
MVP Hustle, TBT National for the 9U PG Invitational National Championship. Figueroa is going to go back out there for a 4th inning, Chris.
Yeah, he was scheduled for 3. And at this point in time, I think they're going to try to, again, keeping in mind that they're the number 1 seed, they only need the win. Maybe they're going to try to let him go a little bit longer. Maybe try to salvage their next guy. We'll see. I think Levi was scheduled to possibly come in here, but interesting strategy. We'll see what happens. His pitch count, too, is a factor. That comes into play.
Sure does. Now, MVP has stranded 4 runners in addition to losing 1 at the plate over 3 innings. But keep in mind, they've only had the 2 singles against Armani.
And I think that's probably a lot of the rationale why you might want to keep him in there. They're not seeing anybody getting contact. If it is contact, there's soft contact or good defensive plays being executed.
Beautiful day here in Mississippi. This is Jaden Castillo ready to begin the top of the 4th inning. His nickname is My Lefty Bombs.
That's it. My Lefty Bombs. Okay. I'm thinking cereal here on all these kids. These youngsters, they're big cereal kids, right? So, My Lefty Bombs, yeah.
Number 99 out of Fontana, California.
Righty-lefty matchup. We'll see what happens here. MVP definitely needs to get something started here.
Talked about this young team, been together for a little while, but the most memorable baseball event for Castillo is winning championships with his MVP Hustle team in 4 different states. So you get an idea. They've traveled around and had a lot of success.
Well, again, that just that's really the template for this level and caliber of baseball across the country is you move around, you play the best in the nation, and you get to do a little bit of travel.
Hey, speaking of cereals, this is the best self-scouting report I have read in a long time as he's going to roll one to the right side. Nice effort at second base, and the flip. Will it get there? It did not. Castillo, a foot race against the slow dribbling throw. It was a tremendous effort. I think that's Kingston Campbell still out there at second base, just trying to get that throw to first.
Yeah, Campbell, again, got down on there. He's had to slide to make the grab, which he did, and kind of throwing from his knees. And that was a tough play, but a good defensive effort.
I'll finish my thought on Castillo. He says, eats fastballs for breakfast. So that's not bad when you're starting a game at 8 a.m.
There you go.
For breakfast, eat some fastballs.
Love
but he got the infield base hit This is Blaine Watson. He struck out to end the first. Takes one outside from Figueroa.
So Figueroa, again, as we talked about, he was scheduled for 3, but maybe this could be it. If he's faltering a little bit. We've seen runners get on, but not able to convert.
I think it might be more of a pitch count question right now than effectiveness.
Yeah, he's been certainly good through this part as the runner will advance.
Castillo picked a good pitch to run on. Really no chance whatsoever for Luke Floyd to throw him out. 1 ball, 1 strike the count. Still looking for the game's first run. MVP in the must-win situation of these two teams. Hoping to get on the board.
Well, again, good speed at second. A knock anywhere in the field has the potential to bring the run across.
Big wave and a miss again to get ahead.
Yeah, Figueroa seems very confident there. I think you're right when you're talking about perhaps more around pitch count than anything else. His command seems to be very much in place.
P-Dub Blaine Watson watches a strike wall in the outside corner. He doesn't like it. Thought that may have been outside, but he's down on strikes. That's the first out of the inning, and another strikeout from Figueroa. That's his third.
Well, you've got one out here in the top of the 4th. MVP's got a runner. They need to get something going here.
Blake Thornton, the batter, bounced out to third in his only at bat. Raking Blake Thornton from Tustin, California, calls time before he sees a pitch. Son of Tim and Lisa. Can he pick up the game's first run batted in? Boy, that came in. I thought he might just wear that one off his jersey.
It looked as though perhaps he was going to and just sort of backed him up a little bit.
Infield single by Castillo to begin the inning. Then a stolen base. He's being held in check by Campbell as best he can from his second base position. Hard hit and fouled outside of third.
Good idea. That would have scored a run for sure down the third base side. A little bit of cat and mouse going on over at second, though, as you mentioned.
Already one of the TBT outfielders is thrown out. A base runner at the plate to keep MVP from scoring. Could they do it again? Well, Figueroa very deliberate between pitches. We're seeing these MVP hitters a little more regularly step out now when they're maybe in that position where they're standing for more seconds than they're comfortable with.
Yeah, and it's discretionary on the umpire. He doesn't necessarily have to grant time, and we've seen that happen where pitcher's going to be through his stride, a batter will call time, he'll step out, and a strike will be thrown as on the move there.
How about Castillo?
Yeah, over to third base. So he was paying attention. Some smart base running there. Figueroa was not aware he was on the move. You can see here he started to go into his pitch.
And that is Casillas running for Castillo. So that provides them a little more speed. And now the infield's forced to come in.
Yeah, the infield's ranged up here. Opportunity for sure to score. Only one out here in the top of the 4th.
Big pitch, ground ball in the hole. This may score a run. The play's going to have to go to first. And safe with the dive is Thornton. Casillas scores. Santos had that in-between hop with the infield in where it was going to be a tough play in either direction. But I think once he looked home, he had no chance at first. And then how about the heads-up base running by Thornton to take second?
Well, the ball is live there, so a lot just unveiled there. And course, Rodriguez, the coach for TBT, heading out. Option there on the initial play, but there was nothing at home. And again, a great dive in was Thornton down on the first base side. He came in quickly, as you see there.
That's really tough at short. And here's the advancement when no one's covering second base, just a great heads-up play.
Well, the ball was still live, and I think, just the awareness of, nothing, they didn't stop play, and, yeah, he took advantage of that, definitely.
For Santos, once you look home, and that was, you're playing the infield in, so your thought process is, I got to be ready on the ground ball to go home. But he had to go a couple of steps to his right with the backhand. Once you look, it's hard to get your body turned and quickly get that throw to first, where maybe you can get that out.
Well, and anticipating, too, he may not have had the option, as you see here. I mean, you can see the run there, but he looked, and then there was no play there, and tried to go to first, which a good dive in there. Head first, he got in. And then smart base running, as you mentioned. Thornton gets over to second. That's a tough decision. You think you want to try to get the play at home, but it's sort of a 50-50 proposition. Obviously, he may have thought that he couldn't.
Obviously, though, the thought process is if we don't get that out at the plate, we want to get that out on the bases. They
Absolutely.
got neither.
Yeah, exactly. So a tough situation there, and MVP able to put the first run across.
So Brandon Garcia will bat. He was the runner thrown out at the plate on the single by Arcos back in the second. Now he hits with Thornton in scoring position. One in, one out, and the first run of our game is scored. And here's another case where Garcia is just going to call time before he sees a pitch. But for MVP, again, they're in this must-win situation, so important for them to score first. And we thought maybe in these lower-scoring games without a lot of big hits, it might be guys running the bases to kind of create some havoc. And there they go again. Another breaking pitch, a good one to run on, and that almost ended up in left field. That was a really good job by Brantley Pippen to catch that ball to keep it from sailing into left.
Yeah, a quick throw coming out of the pop fast, throwing down to the third base side. But as you mentioned, hustle, that's how they play the game. I mean, this comes, I can tell you, from knowing Rudy Casillas and of course, his son, Marcos. They play a certain type of baseball where when they know they're not manufacturing runs, perhaps swinging it, they've got to find other ways, and they're demonstrating it here.
And that is a little more of a West Coast approach as far as running the bases, putting some pressure. We like to slug and swing it in the South. Sometimes.
Yeah, well, there you go. And I think on the West Coast, we're hustling. We're moving quick.
Time called again.
And again, strategy at the plate. It throws a little bit of a wrench into the the flow and the rhythm for Figueroa, and where he's at, and he's thinking, and of course you get guys shuffling around the bags as you see here over on third.
Infield in on the corners, poked right to first. They'll take the out, but that's going to end up providing a run. Great hustle by Thornton. What a path around the bases. He dove into first. He advanced to second. He swiped third, and he scored in a ground ball to first with the infield playing in.
Yeah, that's a well-hit ball, too. You keep it on the ground. You've got your man in scoring position. He was up the line. A good effort, though, on the defensive side trying to come home.
I thought Mieses might look to third before he took it to the base himself. Once he turned, though, and went towards first base, Chris, that provided a path for Thornton to score.
Absolutely. It opened it wide up for him, right up the line, and sliding in.
How about 2 runs on 2 infield singles and 3 stolen bases this inning?
Well, I think base running, certainly that's the differential thus far.
This is Hashizuma, flew out to right to Grady and is only at bat. Bouncing ball right to short. Santos there. His throw's a little bit high, but the tag was applied by Mieses. 2 in the inning. But we finally had a breakthrough. MVP plated a couple of runs. In fact, it was an infield single and a ground out that did the damage, so TBT has some work to do, trailing 2-0. 2-0 lead for MVP. And, Chris, this becomes a really important frame now for TBT in the bottom of the fourth.
Well, no question about it. They've got to start finding a way to manufacture runs. And, we've seen it executed on the hustle side with MVP. The hitters aren't really hitting well that at this point. We're not seeing any big shots taking place. But, MVP comes in and they start working the bases and they execute around the bags. That's really starting to become the differential here. We'll see what happens here in this frame.
Garcia back to work. This is Brantley Pippen, and he takes strike one from Spanish Fort, Alabama. Been all-tournament team 6 times, both in 2022 and 2023. He had a base hit in the second, but his teammates have not had a lot behind him. In fact, just a pair of singles to this point for TBT.
Well, Garcia is doing what he needs to do. He seems to be in good command on the plate as far as getting his pitches across.
Big Braves fan, big Ronald Acuna fan for Brantley Pippen. That's Braves country there in Atlanta. Hard hit and a big chopper to short on the carpet. Maciel Jr. handled it. Did he get the play? No. Pippen tripped across the base, but he got there before the throw did, and he gets his second single of the game.
A little bit of a high throw on the shortstop side. He backed up well to make the play. Sometimes you're not sure whether that hop is going to be, behind you or in front of you. And he had to back up. You could see down the line, he got there quickly.
He did. These 70-foot bases, they go by in a blink of an eye.
Absolutely. And this is a transitional period. They've still got a couple of years before they get to the next phase. But still at 70 feet, things happen quickly.
Here is Elijah Morales, struck at his only time in. Pippen says he's safe as he toppled back into the base. That base has caused him some problems here in the last few sequences.
Something's underneath the field there, grabbing his cleats.
And Morales takes a strike. Winter Springs, Florida native is Eli from Seminole Science Charter School. He's going into the 5th grade. We have a balk?
Yeah, they called the balk on him. Coach is discussing that with our infield umpire.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah. Looking through a couple of windows and poles, I didn't realize he didn't throw. He turned.
He stopped.
And the reason he didn't throw is because Pippen was standing on the base.
Whatever's hanging up Pippen over on first, they had him holding down there, that's for sure. So, but he gets a free one over to.
That might be the first time in the history of the 5,000 baseball games I've seen where there's been a balk when the runner's been standing right on top of first base.
It can happen, and it just did.
I mean, your intent is to make a move. You're really not even looking or checking at that point. You're just throwing over there.
That's right.
Front door breaking ball to Morales for a strike. But that could be a free base because, TBT in desperate need of maybe at least getting one run this inning, if not a couple to get back.
Yeah, I mean, again, they're in the driver's seat for the most part. MVPs, I know they realize it. I can tell you, I know from Casillas and how he plays the game.
Hey, that's fair. Inside the bag and down the line and right. Pippen's going to turn third and score, and Morales may run for a long time. Actually, Zuma chasing that one down, and I think that should be a double. They're going to go ahead and tell Morales to keep scoring. That ball rolled beyond the fence. And now the question is homer or double, and the umpires immediately are going to confer as that ball rolled past the 250 sign down the line and right.
It looks like he was deep down the line, as you just mentioned, where the ball was beyond that. And I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to bring him back probably with a double. It's hard to say because they don't have replay, but you can see it from here with us. It's hard to tell how far back he was, but it looked as though he was behind the foul ball line.
There's still some conversation going on, and it may be a clarification on the rules.
And whether it's a double or whether did he get third base, at what point was the ball behind the foul pole and out of play?
I think we're going to ask for a clarification from an umpire from an adjoining field, so the deliberations will continue. The question is it 2-1 or is it 2-2?
And they're going to bring him
second.
Yeah, they'll bring him back.
Of course, if you're Morales and that ball doesn't roll out of play, you're at least going to get to third base
Correct.
in that situation.
Yeah. That's a difficult play because obviously in play down the line, ball tails away from him and starts to move back towards the foul pole area. But
now Morales is standing at third, which is even more interesting as we see this ball poke down the line and right.
Yeah, where was the runner? Where was Morales when the ball actually ended up behind the foul pole? And that's the question that they might be discussing right now, because if he was on his way to third, right, he would be granted third base. We'll see as the conversation continues.
That's where the 250 comes into play. If you're playing on a field that's 200, 210, you don't have that length of an extra 40 feet to roll down the line where these base runners can be in motion.
Yeah, and I think that's probably what Coach Rodriguez is trying to get clarity around. We'll see where they put Morales.
But it is a 2-1 game, so MVP got their 2 runs in the top of the fourth. TBT has played it a run, and I think they're going to put Morales at second. To me, that's the right. If it's out of play, to me, that's a double regardless. But and that's where they're going to send him. The way things go here, he'll steal third base on the first pitch, and the point will be somewhat moot.
Well, right, that's coming next. We'll see that come forward.
Sawyer Hicks the batter. Hicks struck out back in the second. First pitch strike at the knees from Brandon Garcia. Really, this is the first real threat Garcia's dealt with. Now, he did have the bases loaded scenario in the second where he handled the comeback and ran it to the plate himself.
Yeah, that was a good, very good athletic play there coming off the hill. The foot race.
And it was a blink of an eye. We had a great shot of the play at the plate. 2-1 our score. MVP in front. TBT trying to change that with a base hit or maybe an extra base hit. Another good pitch.
Yeah, Garcia locating. He runs that outer half.
This was the play. Look how close this was.
Boy, I'll tell you, it was just one stride. It was about a difference of a few feet, couple feet maybe.
On the ground to second. This will advance the runner, but another throw from the knees that's just in time to retire Hicks. Morales does move up to third base, and he's there now with one gone, representing the tying run.
So the fourth inning prevails for both sides thus far with runners able to score.
Blake Thornton made that play. Sometimes you go down to a knee or you make a diving play. This is the age group, Chris, where it's just that strength to be able to throw without being able to get your body into it.
Yeah, and we've seen that. You know, you've seen it demonstrated. Some kids a little bit bigger, their upper body's a little stronger. They're able to make those plays.
Here's Levi Rodriguez, left-handed batter, takes ball one. This is the 9U Invitational National Championship. Southaven, Mississippi. Good ball game, lower scoring game. That's a strike.
Again, Garcia finding the outside part of the plate. He's got good movement, moving the ball around, locating. He comes upstairs, gets into the back door a little bit sometimes.
Stroke to left. Catch made in very shallow left field. We're going to have a play at the plate. No, we're not. A wise decision by Morales to go back.
Yeah, Morales definitely checking up there. The throw in, a very good throw from left field. And there was not an option for Morales to come home.
Arcos delivered that throw to the plate. So now two gone, and this becomes a big batter. Kingston Campbell tried to bunt.
Well, that's one way to manufacture a run. Fouled off, though.
Quickly, 0-2. Tying run at third base. Pitch bends. Campbell back out of the way.
Yeah, Garcia trying to come upstairs to get him go after it, and he laid off there.
Campbell choking up on that bat just a bit and pokes one foul outside of third. A single, a balk, a double after some deliberation, but a bounce out and a fly out, and this one will land foul. Untouched down the line and left.
I think Garcia here with an opportunity. He's come upstairs a couple of times. I think he may try to run the under half here. He's got a 1-2 count, or perhaps come inside.
Pitch almost looked like it just slipped coming out of his finger.
Yeah, I'm surprised there's no rosin out on the field yet, but perhaps not as moist as it was yesterday. High humidity yesterday. In the last couple of days, it's just been very, very wet for the players, as you can see that get away from. His arm slot a little bit out to the side on his release point.
Well, he was ahead in the count. Now it's gone full. Campbell batting 8th in this TBT lineup. On the ground to short. And the play is going to be made by Maciel Jr. That's a good play. So TBT gets their first run. They strand the tying run at third base. We've navigated through 4 innings of this 6-inning game. It's a 2-1 contest. MVP in front. Got a 2-1 game as we head into the top of the 5th inning between MVP Hustle Casillas out of California, TBT National out of Florida. Tell you what, Armani Figueroa, Chris, going back out there for a 5th inning of work.
Yeah, I think they're going to stay with him. He'll go as far as he can. Figueroa is pitching a solid game, and again, TBT in the position they're in, they definitely want to try to take advantage of it and leave their man out there. He's dealing. He's taking care of business.
The MVP got a pair of runs in the 4th. An infield single by Blake Thornton. An RBI ground out by Garcia with the infield in. TBT got a run back but left a runner at third base. So this is Alejandro Arcos, who singled back in the 2nd but didn't get an RBI when Garcia was gunned down by Rodriguez from center.
Yeah, there have been some good plays early on. Good defense on both sides, and you can see here with MVP, a little bit of a delay in the box there, stepping out early on.
Big rip and a miss. So 4 hits, all singles for MVP, but they have a 2-1 lead.
This is an important inning being in the 5th here. You go 6, and if you can manufacture something here in the 5th, that gets you in a little better position heading into the bottom half, and then, of course, getting into the 6th.
Stroke down the line and left, but foul. So if MVP wins, we turn this right around and go back at it for a winner-take-all championship game.
Double final. That's the essence of this. A tough road to follow, though. You know, you get into the consolation bracket. Yesterday, consolation games. There were 4 games played, well, in the 12U division. Very comparable in the 9U division as well. Yesterday was a big day for all of these consolation plays. So it's you've had a long road to go. Basically, it takes 6 to win it coming through the consolation bracket. In a double final where you played 4 yesterday.
Yeah, that's where it really helps, where you've got depth of pitching, or everybody on this team can pitch in some capacity.
Well, we've seen it on some of these charts with these kids. They want to play every position available.
Just a chopper to first. What these pitchers have avoided is hard contact. Macias able to make that play. Just a lot of almost routine ground balls.
We saw a couple balls stroked in the outfield in the early innings, but good defensive plays executed, as we've seen. But you're right, we're just not seeing anybody really barreling up and going deep into the field.
One gone for Magallanes, who bounced to short in his only AB. Corners in with their respective bases just in case. Towards the bottom of the lineup, there might be some small ball on hand. Hey, that's tagged towards center. It'll drop for a base hit. So Magallanes with the single with one out. 5th hit for MVP.
Yeah, a good swing through the zone. Made good contact. Shallow hit, but whatever it takes to get on. They're trying to manufacture any way they can. I would not be surprised to see some base running unfold here.
Good point. I would agree. We're back to the top of the lineup. Maciel Jr., the batter. He's hit a couple of ground balls to this point.
A little bit of enthusiasm there to try to get to second.
Magallanes says, well, I'll just take off.
Ball wasn't put in play yet, but good idea nonetheless.
Armando Maciel Jr. out of Corona, California. His dream school, LSU. Son of Armando and Sonia. Throw to first, and Magallanes had a very short lead. So Andrew Magallanes with the base hit, the Whittier, California kid, son of Paul and Tiffany, represents what would be a big insurance run if MVP could score him.
Yeah, with one out and opportunity here, as you mentioned, back to the top of the order, they've got some opportunities to hit. And I'm sure we're going to see some bases being moved around here. I'm sure he'll try to take second if he gets an extra here.
Not running. Would have been a tough pitch to go on. The snap throw back to first, not in time.
Yeah, back pick, those are quick. 70 feet, it happens fast, but we've seen some kids, if they're too far off the line and too far off the bases, the back pick can come through. You got to be fast out of the pop, though.
Pick at first and it rolls away. That one might have gotten Magallanes. He's grabbing the back of his leg, getting up really slowly at first. Oh, he's in a little bit of pain.
Yeah, it looks like he took it right on the back part of the leg. You can see here he gets it right towards the hip area, actually. The upper part of the leg.
Almost in the wallet.
Yeah, he's going to run down the line for a second, shake that one off.
I think he's okay. One on, one out, 5th inning. MVP batting and leading by a run. The hat from Figueroa gets further and further off course as this game progresses. And Magallanes will advance. Throw goes right back to the mound.
Yeah, you talk about his hat. I think the way he's leaning as he sets up in his stride, his body is starting to tilt a little to the left. Now, whether that pitch is running further outside, we'll have to identify that. But a very good point with his hat. Now, what we'll probably see at some of these, perhaps in the 12U, some of the kids wearing longer hair today, you will probably see some hats flying off.
I would imagine.
With pitchers. You'll see a number of those things probably coming up. Rodriguez out to have a quick conversation with his guys, perhaps to settle things down. On the other side of the field, though, you've got MVP. Again, this is a must-win situation, right, to get to the double final.
If you're TBT, you come in, the thought is one and done. Let's get this game. We'll win the championship. Probably start traveling. And, you know, it's a longer thought process for MVP, knowing that they come in with the expectation of playing 2 games.
Yeah, and, you know, you got to chip away at it. It's one at a time. You know, you've got to put together something that's going to work. So far, we're really seeing balance on both sides of the field for both clubs. And as we see a low-scoring affair, as we talked earlier on, 2-1. But a big opportunity here.
Very short lead for Magianis. He'll draw the throw, but he was only off the base a couple of feet.
Maybe that's where the pitch clock comes into play at some point in time.
Yeah, we're used to that at the big league level with the lack of disengagements. Not necessarily at the collegiate game or certainly the high school, but at the big league level. Sometimes it always flows downhill. Isn't that the expression? So once you do something at the big league level, the colleges want to implement it. Then
the high schools will pick it up.
I feel like there's a need to kind of be on the same page, although we are playing this year with different rules across the spectrums.
True.
Two another count to Maciel Jr. back at the top of the lineup. Third time through for MVP. On the ground, trickling away. We're going to have a foot race at third, but Magianis will get there. So Maciel Jr. will reach, and there's runners on the corner.
From a defensive perspective, you know, the ball kind of jumps out of the glove. You can see from the third baseman here as the ball's pulled to the third base. He gets his glove down, but it jumps away. The comment here, though, is the shortstop covered well. So from, you know, just general baseball IQ, you had the right play, but the foot race was not going to be won there.
It was Morales who couldn't come up with it cleanly, but a nice effort by Santos, the shortstop.
That ball could have ended up in left field.
Indeed.
And run perhaps could have scored.
We had a 0-0 game going into the fourth. MVP pushed across a pair of runs. TBT got one back, left a runner at third. MVP set up here, runners on the corners. One out, Baca, who's walked and struck out.
Yeah, he's got his guys at the corners here. Baca hits in the 2 spot.
And Maciel Jr. easily swipes second base.
So they got the right people in the right place here. And now another scoring opportunity for MVP.
Corners creeping in even further. I feel like they believe they can give up another run, at least a free run of some sort. They want to make MVP earn it. We got the squeeze coming on here, but the ball gets away, safe at the plate. Baca couldn't get it down, but Magianis didn't hesitate, and we almost had a car crash at the plate between Magianis and Luke Floyd.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, that was a tough play coming out of the pop, as you can see. Shows bunt. And it gets away here.
What do you think? Did he touch the plate?
You, that's a tough call there. You know, we're looking from our angle. We're not right over the top. That perhaps could have gone either way, but our head umpire makes the call, and he gets in. So they pick up the run.
Not sure if you consider that a steal of home or a wild pitch of some sort, but regardless, the third run comes across. Even on that last shot, I'm not sure if he hit the front of the plate, or maybe he was trying to step around a collision of some sort.
Yeah, it looked like it because it looked as though not really the plate wasn't blocked, but just where they were at. It could have been definitely a wreck here. You can see it again. The bunt shown. He's coming up the line. And the catcher, see, that could have been a collision. So he kind of went outside the plate. Maybe he didn't get it. It's hard to tell from this angle, but
I tell you what, though, when you're defensively trying to contend with the squeeze and the batter misses the baseball, you feel like you're in a great position to get an out, and they did not.
Yeah. The other thing, too, is, catchers just being aware of, picking the lane, right? The old Buster Posey rule, and you got to really kind of pick a lane because we're trying to eliminate these crashes at home plate. But, he could have perhaps gone up the line once he had the ball, picked the lane. The what-ifs, we could go through that multiple times.
So little time at that point just to be cognizant of that. There's a little tapper in front of the plate. A flip home, but the play wasn't made. Another run will score. Maciel Jr. able to score. Then the throw's going to go down the line and right, and Baca will head to second base. That's an unfortunate situation with the missed squeeze and then that little tapper if you're TBT, because MVP cashed in both for runs.
Yeah, I'll tell you, coming off the mound, Figueroa, he's pumped up. The ball's right there. He goes with an overhand throw. And that's taken time to have to pull the ball out, reach, overhand. He kind of got out sidearm, but just not able to glove it at home plate.
Because that's a tough play for Floyd. That batter's against his glove just as that throw is arrived.
Yeah, and then an errant throw over to down the first base side, and the runner gets over to second. Instead of maybe holding the ball, slowing things down a little bit, and that really becomes a differentiator for a lot of these Cubs. They're anxious, a lot of adrenaline flowing. They want to make the plays.
So it is a 4-1 lead now. Still only one out. The first batter of the inning was retired. Nothing since. Ground ball to third. Handled by Morales. He will throw out Kendrick Torres for the second out.
Yeah, soft contact there. Morales routine play, but advancing the runner to third here now with 2 outs.
If you're TBT, you really feel like you need to keep this 5th run from scoring.
Well, as I mentioned at the top here, this was the inning that they're going to need to put extras on in order to get themselves, into the bottom half. If they're pitching well, obviously with Garcia on the hill, he's playing well. He's handling the mound efficiently. If they keep him out there, they could get themselves into a double final here. TBT, I know, on the other hand, would like to try to get their bats going.
Jaden Castillo has singled twice. Cleanup hitter. Figueroa soldiers on, trying to get through this 5th inning. Poked out to center, dropping for a base hit. The 5th run will score on the 3rd hit from Castillo.
Well, that's a solid swing. He waited, hesitated a little bit. Good swing through the zone. Pulled the trigger and right back up the middle. So the bat's coming to life here, obviously, in this case, and these guys are starting to do what they need to do to assure a double final. We'll see what happens, though. We're not quite through that point in the game thus far, but MVP seems to be getting the bats moving in the right direction.
Magallanes is going to run. He has a huge lead at first. He'll draw a throw. He just scored, so he's going back out there to run again for the catcher. Castillo is Blaine Watson. Bats.
Yeah, good speed on the bags. You can see he's already on the grass there. Decent lead.
Watson has struck out twice, struck out swinging, and struck out looking. Young man who got to travel to Puerto Rico to play and train baseball during spring break 2022. What a great experience that must have been.
Yeah, I mean, some of the best players, as we know, come from Puerto Rico, the Latin American countries, and what a great opportunity for these young players.
Love it when he says his father, Blaine Sr., inspires him, went to college, got good grades, played college sports, became a high school teacher, then a principal. And he says, I want to be like him or maybe even better.
Oh, there you go. There's some love shared for Dad.
Mom was a high school pole vaulting champion, so it's not like she's not a pretty good athlete herself. Had a couple of grand uncles, one from Panama, played minor league baseball in the Washington Senators and Yankees organization. So there's a lot of athleticism in the Watson family.
Yeah, he's definitely taking some extras. He looks like he's ready to go. If you put some starting blocks on him, he'd be locked in and he's on the move.
There he goes. It doesn't matter. Castillo was hit by, or Watson, I should say, was hit by the pitch. And right now, this is an inning that won't end for TBT. Keep in mind they had that blown safety squeeze, but the out wasn't recorded. Then there was a little tapper between the plate and the mound, but there wasn't an out recorded at the plate, then a throwing error. So hit by pitch as well. The free base runners or extra opportunities has really snowballed.
Yeah, taking advantage of it. And
this
again,
was the blown squeeze, and my goodness, that was a close play at the plate.
Yeah, it was hard to say. I mean, again, it was just right there.
And this was the comebacker. You see throw and ball arriving at the same time, and you know, if you're the catcher, you're fortunate enough to catch that. The batter's going to run into the tag. But again, ball and runner coming at the exact same opportunity.
Yeah. And then the errant throw down to first base that added the extra bag. So that's a big difference here.
Blake Thornton, the batter.
Yeah, Thornton hitting here in the 6th spot.
His infield single and RBI provided the first run of this game just last inning. Now it's a 5-1 game.
Yeah, they've certainly opened it up here, and they started there in the last inning, but really aggressive base running, and now the bats are starting to come to life.
A big swing here, though, from Thornton, who would make it really tough on TBT down to their final 6 outs. They are the undefeated team is TBT in the home squad.
Yeah, TBT came into this tournament, the 2nd seed coming in, and they go undefeated, as you mentioned, all the way through pool play and into bracket play. A lot of work there, but obviously MVP able to put things and string some things together here, starting in the 4th, as you mentioned, and now here in the 5th.
Seeing more and more the hitters just step out.
I think part of that is some coaching, strategy,
I do
part
too.
of the
Sure.
game. I think it's just, being able to create situations, and pitchers can get frustrated quickly. They're ready to go. They're locked in. They're just ready to get into their stride and time.
Seems like it's taking a long time to get that sign. Right now it hasn't even been relayed yet to Figueroa. Spins a little bit out.
Maybe just a subtle adjustment of his hat might bring that pitch a little bit more
That's
inside.
it. I think you're onto something.
I was just noticing that, and again, his head sort of tilts at the same angle that his head does. These kids love to have their look, and their swag is important to them as well.
Thornton waits, gets a pitch to foul right back to the screen. Pretty good swing, good pitch. Count holds at 1-2 with 2 outs. Here in the 5th inning, 3 runs have been pushed across by MVP.
Yeah, and a couple of tough plays at home plate as we saw those replays and took a look at them. And again, MVP just trying to lock themselves down here for an opportunity for a double final. If they can get there, we shall see what happens here as we're here in the top of the 5th.
Fouled away again. Magianis has already scored this inning as a courtesy runner. He's trying to score for a 2nd time. Watson aboard at first.
Figueroa takes a lot of time. There's a lot of shuffling around and so forth. With Coach Rodriguez, you can see him down there on the dugout side.
It just takes too long for him to get his pitches in.
Yeah.
He's 20 seconds of encouragement before he turns around to signal the pitch into his catcher.
Yeah, I see that. He takes his time. He looks at the runners for quite a bit, and then he'll send the signal in.
Because we've gone a couple of minutes without a pitch right now.
Yeah. Well, I think, the problem that I see is that it gets frustrating for the pitcher. I mean, Figueroa's got to be thinking, I want to throw. I'm ready to go, and again, you're just trying to stay in the tempo of your own rhythm and in your mind and how you're setting yourself up to pitch.
Runners are going to go, and this is a ground ball to third. Should be handled, and is. Nice play by Morales to end the inning. Now, MVP tacks on 3 more runs. So TBT has some work to do, trailing 5-1 as they get ready to bat in the bottom of the 5th inning. Well, TBT has some work to do. They were the undefeated team coming into this game in their championship, the 9U PG Invitational. Down 2-0, 2-1. Now it's a 5-1 deficit as they bat in the bottom of the 5th. And again, this is a 6-inning game. So if MVP holds on and wins, we'll go right back at it with the same 2 teams in a championship contest.
Yeah, I'll tell you, MVP is definitely able to put things together in the 5th. They started it out in the 4th and were able to manufacture some runs here. And I think getting into the double final situation definitely looks promising for them at this point. You never know what happens here. And Garcia will stay on the hill for MVP. A lot of time transpiring, though, on the opposition side with TBT and some of the pitch calling and so forth. I mean, it's got to be a little bit of frustration there and in the pitching side for Figueroa, but they managed to grind through and they got out of the inning.
This is Atticus Arnold, who's batting for TBT out of Spanish Fort, Alabama. And Garcia's back out there again to work, giving up just the 1 run. It came in the 4th inning.
You've got to wonder about Figueroa, though, starting the game. He's thrown a lot of pitches. I don't know where his pitch count's at specifically at this point, and then you've got to visit out to the mound here with Garcia.
After 1 pitch. All right, little conversation going on. Tell you about Atticus Arnold, big Pete Alonso, Freddie Freeman fan. You see the conversation now with Brandon Garcia. Son of Jim and Teresa is Atticus. Garcia ready. His pitch is on the corner for a strike.
Yeah, I like that. Garcia, he came in low in the zone on his last pitch. He missed there and then comes up a little bit and goes outside.
On the ground. Going to be handled at second. It will, and the throw wasn't scooped. Arnold able to reach.
Yeah, it looked like he was in line to make a good pick there. His body was squared up, but then the ball just kind of got away from his glove.
Thornton unable to get that throw over to first in time. to Baca.
Yeah, his glove was just a little bit high. He was off the ground.
So Arnold hit, but he won't run.
I'm not sure what Rodriguez is doing on the TBT side, looking over having a conversation with the MVP.
I think he might be asking about the substitutions or runner, pinch hitter, whatever the case may be.
Well, he's trying to gain some form of clarification. Now he's going to approach the umpire. And now they're going to the PG scorer and managed to find his way now over towards the MVP side.
Well, Grady, who got pinch hit for by Arnold, is running. So he's re-entering the game after Arnold reached on what'll be the air.
Well, there's always a little bit of drama everywhere, if that indeed is the case, or just clarity. And perhaps that's the instance here. And it looks like a pitching change coming forth here. That might have been maxed out for Garcia.
Yeah, that might have been the case.
Looks like Arcos is taking the hill.
Alex Arcos was in left field. Now he'll come on to pitch. And this becomes a situation as well for MVP where you may actually start to think about a second game at this point as well. I mean, you obviously have to finish this one out. Looking more and more likely that there will be another 6 innings. And possibly that might impact how you want to use your pitchers to try and get the final 6 outs.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's it 100%. And I think that's where they're probably looking at it. And depending on where Garcia was at the start of this game, for his pitch count, how many balls he threw at this point, I mean, he could be finished, but obviously some strategy plays in here. And, that's the key. You realize you've got a 5-1 score here and an opportunity to be able to get yourself out of this inning quickly and then to the 6th, maybe manufacture a couple more runs, definitely thinking ahead.
Looks like Arcos about ready to go.
Yeah, Arcos, right-handed hurler for the club. He's got good command of the plate. We'll see what he can do here against TBT, which in their mind they're thinking, well, are we going to a second game or do we still have the ability to execute here? I mean, there's still time remaining where they could pull this off.
Arcos' scouting report, he just simply says 3 words: love to pitch. Well, he's pitching today in Southaven, Mississippi, here at the Snowden Grove Park complex, working with a 4-run lead. Santos, the leadoff hitter, has singled and flagged to right. 4 hits total for TBT. 2 last inning when they scored their run. Off and rolling goes Grady. Belly flops into second base.
Yeah, the throw was a little bit offline. Grady had a good jump. You could see here he moves pretty quickly on the replay, takes off, and just a little bit to the left side of the bag.
Might have dove right into that glove or baseball.
Yeah, it looks like it popped out of his glove.
Hard hit right to third, and it's going to be a double play.
That was a well-hit ball. He barreled up there, but a line shot.
Magianis at third, able to make that catch. And I was just beginning to say it feels like MVP wants to start accumulating some outs. Will they get 2 on 1 pitch?
Yeah, that was a great play. I mean, that was a direct line shot right to his glove. That was a bullet, though. It was a well-hit ball. Very
Might have been the hardest hit ball we've seen.
I think so far today.
And Figueroa pokes one into right. So now it makes that a little more costly. Hey, we might have had a play at first base had that been handled cleanly. Instead, Figueroa will reach. DJ Miesis, who's 0 for 2. He actually bounced into a double play back in the third inning, so TBT is grounded into a double play. They've lined into a double play, which is really hurt when you start counting outs in a 6-inning game.
Yeah, and Figueroa able to get on board here with 2 outs, and
that's up the middle, and on the carpet, it's going to propel into center. So all of a sudden, with 2 outs and the base is empty, a couple of hits, how big is that line out for a double play now? Had that gone into left field, who knows what TBT might be looking at for a run-scoring inning.
Yeah, most definitely. That's going to be a differentiator for sure, depending on what TBT can do here with 2 outs.
Brantley Pippen has singled both times in, and he has scored the lone run to this point for TBT. Both runners able to advance when that ball squirted loose.
Yeah, pass ball, that's not a time you want to see that happening now with a good hitter in the box and runners at second and third for TBT. They've got an opportunity here.
Even a base hit to score 2 would really make this a much tighter game.
Yeah, absolutely.
To the backstop, but the runners will not try to advance, and this is a case of being down 4 runs with 2 outs, where discretion's the better part of valor.
Yeah, I think the runner at third, though, was I believe that's Figueroa.
It is?
Yeah, so Figueroa actually hesitated on that pass ball. That ball got through quickly, and Figueroa was not even 3 or 4 feet up the line. I don't know if Rodriguez, the head coach, was looking somewhere else on the field, but I was looking at third, and he could have had an opportunity being further up the line, but neither here nor there. It's an afterthought.
Yeah, it's not a deep backstop here for one.
No.
Arcos has come on this inning. You got the line out double play, and then it's given up single. Dangerous hitter, the cleanup hitter, Brantley Pippen. Carries outside. Morales on deck.
Yeah, Arcos just working for this third out here.
Big pitch. Big swing in the air to center, and it's going to go all the way to the 250 sign. Pippen's got his third hit. It's going to plate a couple of runs, and it's a 5-3 game.
Well, that's a well-hit ball deep to center field, ends up rolling to the fence at the 250 mark, and 2 easily came across. I was surprised Arcos really, I thought he would move the ball around the plate a little bit with a big hitter. He just pitched that ball right up the middle. And Pippen squared up on that.
Well, I'm not sure what the bigger play is now. The suicide squeeze and the comebacker for a couple of runs in the 5th, or that line out for a double play in the bottom of this inning. Otherwise, if that's a base hit to left field, there's nobody out. Yeah. TBT would almost have a chance of taking the lead. As it is, Morales here with a base hit could make this a 1-run game, and he's done just that. It's into center for a base hit. Can Pippen score? He's around third. He's going to be waved in. It was a bobble in center, which will provide the 4th run, and here comes TBT. It's a 1-run game. Morales with his second hit, second RBI.
Yeah, I just think Arcos is struggling a little bit. He's not really trying to locate pitches in different points on the plate. He's throwing balls up the middle, and these guys are just jumping on it.
So now it becomes up to Sawyer Hicks. I'll be curious to see how daring TBT wants to be to try to get Morales in a scoring position where then maybe just a base hit could score him to tie the game. We're in the 5th inning of a 6-inning contest.
With 2 outs, I'm really surprised. Typically, and this is just from watching MVP play, sometimes they short leash their pitchers when they're, situations like this. They're running here.
I thought we would see a pinch runner.
Yeah.
Indeed, that'll be the case.
As I started to say about Hustle, their style of play, though, with their pitching in these high-leverage situations are, if there's any faltering happening, they'll pull their pitcher quickly. I'm surprised they're leaving him in. Pass ball.
And Hudson Peters will advance. Well, don't look now. The tying run's in scoring position.
Well, things started to get shaped up in the fourth, and now things are getting very interesting here in the fifth.
Hudson Peters from Granite Bay, California, representing the tying run. Son of Suzanne and Jed, getting a pretty good secondary lead. That ball squirts to the backstop. Well, he can just trot to third here. And Sawyer Hicks now can really make things interesting.
Well, he gets 2 bags out of 2 pass balls, and that's not what you want right now in this situation, particularly where we are at now in the bottom of the fifth.
All of this has come with 2 outs. There was an E4, then a line-out double play, then single, single, double, single.
And I'm surprised MVP was able to convert after that line-out double play. To me, I thought that it looked as though we were headed right out of the inning.
Yep. I think it probably had that feel for both teams. Three balls and a strike to Sawyer Hicks. Fouls that one at the plate. He was almost kind of jumping or lunging out of that pitch. He was so excited to try and put that at play.
Yeah, I think he just needs to settle in. Taking a deep breath there before he gets back to the rubber and locks himself down.
Big pitch here for Marcos. Fouled back.
A good cut. Just think from Marcos' perspective, though, he's got to be really cautious about elevating any of his pitches here. You've got a good hitter in the box.
This is where MVP wants clean defense as well. That is in. That's ball 4. So now the go-ahead run is on base. Tying run is at third. And Levi Rodriguez will be the hitter.
So Rodriguez with a big opportunity. That might be it here for Arcos. He flipped the ball to his coach quickly.
He's going right back out to the outfield, I believe.
They're going to bring in Baca.
He's going to move off first.
They bring the lefty in.
Just looking for that final out to try and keep this lead for the time being.
I'm surprised Casillas let him go that far with Arcos. Again, that's, it's not uncommon for these guys the way they operate, especially in these situations. A must-win situation, number one. Usually if they start to see one of their guys falter, they'll pull the trigger quickly.
Santos was the one who lined to third into the double play. Figueroa singled. Miesa singled. Pippen had the 2-run double to center. Elijah Morales had the single to center with the bobble that produced the 4th run. A couple of pass balls and moved Morales to third. Hicks drew the walk. And now Baca on to face. So you're really going situations here. You're going left on left. Baca against Levi Rodriguez.
Yeah, and Rodriguez, I mean, he can hit. I mean, I tell you, these guys have momentum right now. We've seen it shift, and Baca's going to have to be very careful about where he's getting his pitch calls. Obviously, that's in the hands of his coach.
Are we changing catchers too?
And it looks like we're doing that as well. Or perhaps was it a change of glove? Castillo was the catcher of record. Where's number 99? No, he just switched his glove out. He stays behind the plate.
Here we go. Tying run at third base. Go ahead run at first. 5th inning. Pitch is outside, squirts away. So now the go ahead run will move up in the presence of Sawyer Hicks. Rodriguez flew out to left his last time in. He was also intentionally walked. Now first base is open. But again, the point of this, I got to believe, in part was kind of go left on left. Spin some breaking balls up there, but it missed. The question I have is, with a pinch runner now at third, that's no longer Morales. How far will that ball have to squirt away before we might see a runner try and score on a ball that kicks away to tie the game?
Well, Castillo's had some problems a little bit. We've seen 2 pass balls for 2 runs. And just the pass ball prior to this last pitch, moving the go-ahead run over to second. So anything is possible, as you say here.
That's Peters at third. How about that breaking ball? That had Rodriguez bailing out of the way, and Baca dumped it in there.
Yeah, there was some good movement on that. Good pitch by Baca.
Watch this one again. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. He bailed out like he thought it was going to come his way and hit him.
That's not nose to toes. That's sky to kneecap.
Yeah, that's a great pitch.
Ground ball to short. Is it going to be handled? Oh, it is. Big pitch. Couple of runners left in scoring position. It's quite a frame, though, for TBT. They plated 3 runs in the inning. Really tightening up this game. And it's now a 5-4 game as we go to the 6th inning. Well, this was a scoreless game into the 4th inning for our PG 9U Invitational National Championship. All of a sudden, a 5-4 game as we go into the 6th inning. MVP scored 3 in the top. TBT answered with 3 in the bottom. Both teams left a couple of runners on base. We've got a pitching change, though, as we work our way into the 6th inning. The left-hander, Levi Rodriguez, we thought we might see him earlier. And he's on to work after Armani Figueroa went 5 innings.
Yeah, we thought Coach Rodriguez, I think, had him scheduled for 3-3 on both sides for both pitchers, and they let Figueroa go quite a ways.
So Rodriguez on now here. Randy Garcia is going to lead things off. He had an RBI and a ground out in the 4th. He's also walked, so 0 for 1 with a ribby. Here we go in the 6th. MVP, a must-win situation to force an if game right after this one, which would impact our 12U games later today.
Yeah, 12U scheduled for 2 o'clock was the anticipated start time.
It will not be a 2 if there's an if game.
Absolutely.
We test your lights out before all is said and done, if that's the case. Strike call. I don't think Garcia agrees. Keep in mind, he's been on the mound himself today.
It's always interesting when a pitcher hits and is facing a pitcher because they identify pitches rather quickly, and they look at the zone and say, wait a minute, was this? What are you talking about? Come on, Blue.
Lefty's 1-1, chopped foul right at the plate.
So Levi Rodriguez, as we mentioned, on the mound here from Castleberry, Florida. Rodriguez so far doing what he needs to do. As he's coming in on relief, that gets away from him.
He's been a 2-time MVP pitcher, 3-time MVP hitter. His very young baseball career. I love his self-scouting report. He says, good pitcher, good hitter, great outfielder. Well, right now he's on the mound. We saw him in the outfield.
Well, another one of these versatile young players. They want to play all over the field, as they should. Because you just never know where that path will lead you later in your baseball career. I'm seeing more of the two-way kids now. I mean, I think that's the evolution, perhaps, of you're no longer just a specialty player, whether you're infield, outfield, PO, whatever the case might be.
There's a ground ball to third on the carpet, kind of secured before that throw across. That's in time to get Garcia. Pippen at third, able to make the play.
I was talking to Coach Rodriguez prior to the game here today about players, playing so many different positions and his opinion on how it looks going forward. And he says, really, it's generational. He says, we're going to see more of the two-way player. Ohtani sort of set the standard at the highest level you can imagine, but I think you'll see more of that probably coming into play.
Well, I think you'll see it at the college level. Now, Paul Skeens could have been a catcher/pitcher, but it worked out for him to be the number 1 overall pick on a national championship team. But I think we're going to see it a lot more at the college level, too.
Right.
Sweeping pitch misses in to Hashizuma, who's 0 for 2. He's grounded out, flew out to right. So each team has gone to the bullpen at least once. That's on the ground to short. And again, true bounces. Throw, was the tag applied? It was. Hashizuma is out. Some discussion at first whether that tag was missed once the throw pulled Mieses off the base.
Yeah, Steve Knott down there. He was on the call, the infield umpire down on the first base side.
And by the way, that's Figueroa at short. Remember, he started the game on the mound.
Right.
Going to be a conversation as well with our umpire. I think the question is, when there was that swipe tag, there wasn't the immediate out call. Then when they went back to the base, then he was called out.
I think that's where he was saying, yeah, right. He was trying to get the out call, right, or saying he was off the bag. Here's the play again, going back to first, the throw over. So he misses there.
Is there a question about him going too far outside
that might
the
be
line?
The case.
I think there's a little bit of a hand gesturing going on with our umpire and official, just wondering about that.
He does step outside the running lane. You can see here if you back that up a little bit, there's a second where he steps outside the lane. You'll see here.
I have a feeling that's the call, Chris.
It's right outside, right prior to the bag. You see the lane here. Coach is sort of blocking, but you're going to see him step outside of the lane. 1 foot's out, and the second foot, he's outside the lane.
Yeah, that would explain why there wasn't an out call on what we thought was a tag.
Right.
The out call came after he went too far outside the baseline.
Yeah, that's right.
Here's Arcos.
Seeing our PG umpires getting it right.
Arcos pitched last inning, and now he's looking for his second hit at the plate. Five for our score. MVP was in hopes of getting an insurance run or more this inning before TBT, the undefeated team, gets to bat in the bottom of the frame, maybe a chance to score a pair to walk off if the score holds going to the bottom of the inning.
Now, this is a big at-bat right here for MVP with 2 outs.
Good pitch.
Yeah, Rodriguez locating there, runs it on the outer half.
Sweeping curveball.
Good movement on the ball.
Let's see, do 2 strikes. Throws it a little further outside and all the way back to the backstop.
Yeah, I think hustle here. They're definitely hoping for a knock.
MVP has never trailed. They had a 2-0 lead, a 2-1, a 5-1, now a 5-4 advantage. Another good pitch, strike 3. What a frame from Rodriguez.
Yeah, good movement there on the curveball. That ball was started way outside and came in across the zone. That's an outstanding pitch.
He threw a couple of those. Watch this big break. I mean, that's tough to hit. TBT needs 2 to walk it off in the bottom of the inning for a championship. Here we go, bottom of the 6th inning. TBT needs a run to tie, 2 to win it. They've trailed the entire game. They'll have up 8, 9, and 1. Campbell, Grady, Santos, the scheduled hitters. We saw Baca come on and get a bounce out to Rodriguez with runners at second and third. The only batter he faced to end the inning, and he's right back out there for the 6th.
Yeah, this is a big inning right here. Hustle's going to have to make quick work of it if they're looking to get a double final.
And Kingston Campbell, who's 0 for 1 with a ground out, is going to lead off. Maybe chased and expanded the zone just a bit.
Yeah, Baca expressing himself after that last pitch.
Yes, he did. Off the corner. He works from the far third base side of that rubber. Little tapper that is fair. It's quick out. Big beginning to the bottom of the 6th.
Well, that's what you want in order to force the double final. Baca sets up way over. As far as he can go, the tip of his cleat is just on the rubber. Kind of a little bit more on it now.
2 outs away from forcing another game as A.J. Grady bats. He's hit just once. He was pinch hit for back in the 5th. Come back. Baca handles it easily. 2 outs. He's faced 3, and he's gotten 3 ground ball outs.
Baca's definitely settling in much more this inning than his start. He just looks way more confident as far as locating his pitches, and he just looks like he's working more efficiently to me.
Certainly is. Last chance is Santos. Remember, he was the one that lined into the double play last inning to third. Bases were empty, then 2 outs. They ended up scoring 3 more runs after that. Who knows what would have happened had that ball been just about a foot in either direction.
Yeah, different story here. TBT would be in the driver's seat, most likely. A lot of energy coming from the crowd on both sides.
TBT needs a base runner. MVP wants an out.
Baca needs to be careful here with a count at 2-1. He's had good pitch location thus far.
Really good.
Getting some ground balls.
2-1 pitch is high. We'll see how aggressive Santos wants to be. Figueroa's on deck. Figueroa's the 2-hole hitter. Mieses, the 3-hole hitter, start to get towards the middle of the lineup with base runners. Popped up and out of play. So now we're a strike away from an if game. MVP, they've never trailed. Trying to secure a 5-4 win.
And it's anybody's call on the double final. Big pitch here.
Stroke to left. This one's going to go all the way to the fence. Not only did Santos continue the game, he's got himself a double. He's in scoring position with 2 gone.
Oh, that's a big hit right there, right through the zone. That was a good connection. A good swing for him all the way through.
So it does bring up Figueroa, who singled and scored just last inning.
I mean, he was right through the zone and squared up that ball. That's another good hit. Well, the situation gets interesting.
That does. First real threat against Baca. Pitch to Figueroa, another lefty-lefty matchup. Misses, and boy, Baca, he's kind of animated out there on the mound. He's kind of riding and dying with each pitch.
Very much so. I was just going to state that, and he's really showing his emotion here. It's one way or the other. If he misses, he gets upset. When he hits, he gets excited.
And you know TBT wants to get their power hitter Mieses to the plate with a chance to win the game. Here's the 1-1. Oh, that went behind the helmet, and I think Figueroa kind of reacted as if to say, I just should have wore it, maybe.
Yeah, I don't think that was there wasn't a lot of velo on that pitch, and he just needed to turn his back into it, and he chose not to.
He started but stopped, and that's a balk. So the tying run now is at third. That's our second balk we've had in this game.
Interesting. 2-1 count.
Figueroa trying to type the game. We just had another balk, didn't we?
That's potential. I'm not sure what's happening. It was he's stepping off. I just think there's a lot of input coming from the field on both coaches' sides. Now he's locked on.
Santos starting down the line at third. He wants to really have a good break should a ball squirt away from Castillo.
Yeah, Castillo, he's had a couple pass balls. We've seen the impact thereof. He definitely needs to keep the ball out in front. 3-1 pitch here.
Pitch to Figueroa is outside, so that's ball 4. So the winning run is at first, and they do get DJ Mieses to the plate.
Yeah, you get the big man that comes in. This kid can put it in play. If he goes anywhere in the gaps, he goes deep in the field. We haven't seen him yet drive a ball, but he's got the capacity to do so, and they could walk this off as Coach Marcos Casillas heads out to the bump to talk to his guy.
Casillas has twice grounded out, once into a double play, but singled and scored last inning. 9U World Series MVP in Georgia. An extra base hit here to the spacious outfield would more than likely win the game.
Yeah, I mean, he's a power hitter. This kid can slug it. There's no question about it. If he gets a ball deep anywhere, either in the corners or, we're at 250 around the field, he can put it out of the park, but he doesn't need to do that. Just a good line shot anywhere in the gap or down the lines or even on board, but he's the guy you want at the plate right now.
All right, Chris, do you play your outfielders a little deeper to try and cut off a ball that might roll all the way to the fence?
I would rather do that than trying to find myself to have to take a route where I got to back up and start making a play towards the ball.
We also might see Figueroa running, although this is a left-handed pitcher on the mound. Santos at third represents the tying run. The pitch to Mieses, that's outside, and Figueroa did not try to steal.
Yeah, I think Baca's thinking here. He knows this guy. He's seen him before. He doesn't want to pitch him in or over the plate. He's got to try to get him to chase or come low in the zone, maybe inside.
The pitch to Mieses. Hit high in the air to right field. This ball begins to carry. This ball's going to drop. The tying run scores. Here's Figueroa around third. He is going to score the walk-off winning run. TBT scores 2 down to their final out. And they win the 9U Invitational National Championship.
Well, what a play, and I think we talked about it. Unbelievable finish for both sides with MVP hustle, but we talked about it before the pitch came. The defense was shallow on the right side, and he had to back up and start his route instead of starting deeper with a big hitter, but they executed.
And we just wondered that same thing, right? Do you play a little bit deeper just in case? The ball didn't roll, though, Chris. I thought maybe that might provide an opportunity for a play at the plate. Here's the final sequence. In with the dive is Figueroa all the way from first, and the celebration is on in Southaven.
Well, no question about it, and well-deserved. I mean, TBT, an outstanding team. They go undefeated all the way through this tournament here in the PGI National Invitational. I mean, what an opportunity for them. What a tournament, and for MVP hustle as well. But, again, I think we called it. If you're backed up on a big hitter, you're moving forward, you're not moving backwards. Not that was the differential, but the ball was hit high in the air. It was a playable ball.
TBT had the bases empty with 2 outs. And then again, with Santos at the plate, they were down to their final strike, but able to get the double, the walk, the 2-run double to win it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Baca came in. He did a fine job relieving, but overall an outstanding tournament for both clubs.
What a celebration. We've got a 12U game coming up, though, here soon.
That's right. We got a 12U game coming up. That's going to be a barn burner. We'll keep you posted on that one coming live here. I'll get down on the field. We're going to talk to our MVPs, but a great matchup here today.
(6-5) again, our final. TBT winning it. That's going to do it. For Chris Allard, I'm Brett Dolan. Thanks for tuning in. 6-5, our final TBT over MVP with the walk-off hit from DJ Macias, our 9U PG Invitational National Champions.
Chris Allard live here, the 2023 PGI National Invitational Championships. Well, I'm with the most valuable pitcher here, Levi Rodriguez. Levi, outstanding tournament for you and your club with TBT. You take the title. You got to be happy about it, first of all.
I am, because this is my first time ever getting an MV pitcher like this.
Well, I'll tell you what, buddy. I heard you pitched phenomenal. You pitched great all week, no earned runs, a couple of hits. I mean, an outstanding tournament for you. How does it feel to be a most valuable pitcher in the biggest tournament of the year for you?
It feels really great.
I bet you it does. You're excited. So what's coming next? Are you going to go have some fun with you and your teammates? What's your plan?
go have some fun with my teammates.
Well, that sounds great. So you had a great tournament, but it takes the defense to help you as well, right? You had guys making some good plays for you. Can you talk about some of your teammates that did really well for you guys?
I would say everybody that was on the field did very good, making all the plays that were hit to them.
Well, that sounds great. Well, I'll tell you what, Levi, well-deserved. Congratulations to TBT and yourself for the most valuable pitcher here in the 2023 PGI National Championship. Chris Allard for Levi Rodriguez, an outstanding finish for TBT, and your most valuable pitcher, Levi Rodriguez. For now, we'll say so long. We'll be right back.